works off of what they call an echo impact principle, and you have the ability to go along and scan in different areas of the slab. And it's, plus or minus, I can't remember what it is. I want to say it's plus or minus a quarter of an inch, which obviously is pretty close. Um, and again, good device for everybody, probably not, because the price tag on it's still about $2,500 a whack. And for some people that maybe don't do testing that much, it might be a little bit too much to purchase that. One way that I hear of people doing testing out there as far as slab thickness is people looking at drilling smaller diameter pilot holes into the slab all the way through. Now, again, not making any kind of recommendation of going around and turning a slab into Swiss cheese, but by doing a couple of strategically placed holes, drilling all the way through, utilizing a piece of pliable wire to make a J-hook, make it a little bit wider than the diameter of the hole itself, pushing it all the way through to the bottom until it comes out. As it comes out, you pull it up, you can feel that there's resistance against it. Mark on the surface of the where the wire comes up out of the hole at the surface of the concrete. Pull it all the way out, and you can see the Sharpie mark and the radius of the J, and you get a pretty good idea of where you're at. By doing a couple of those holes, you have some good comparative information to ensure uniformity of the slab from point A to point B. After that, usually you'll find people will inject it with some kind of epoxy or do something like that to fill the hole in. Another question we get a lot about revolves around the placement of sensors in elevated slabs that are poured inside of a pan deck. The question becomes, do you do it based on the thickest part? Do you do it based on the thinnest part? And then where do you place them? So the first thing I have to say in having this discussion is the fact that the ASTM committee is completely silent on this whole matter. They really have not come up with a definitive guideline for it. So there's a few different ways that people do it, but the most predominant way that I hear people doing it is that they will actually take the thickest portion and calculate 40% of that, and then try to identify where that thickest portion is and drill into that section. So the next question I always get is, how do I identify where that thickest spot is? Probably one of the better ways that I found is for about, let's say, under $100, there are metal detectors out there that look a lot like stud finders for finding wood studs in a wall. They have a scan on them that is good enough that it will pick up where the high parts of the metal hat are in the pan decking, but they're not so good that they get all the way down into the deepest channels. And so what you can do is you can go across the slab, and you can find the high spot, mark it off, scan across, find the high spot, and then in between those two is where the deepest channel is. And so based on specifications that you have, you can calculate your 40% of whatever that thickest part is, and then drill into that section. Is it absolute? No, but it's definitely one of the best ways that I've heard of that people are doing it out there in the market right now. So I have a question here that says, if relative humidity is too high, what products do you recommend to cover the floor? Well, what I can tell you is there are multiple products that are out there, and you have to be cautious about some of the claims that are made. There's a lot of good ones out there. There are products out there that are two-part epoxies, and a lot of people out there say that epoxies are the quote-unquote gold standard of mitigation products that are out there. If you're looking at encapsulating the moisture in the slab. Again, there are all types of products out there. If you want to get into a product-specific discussion, I'd be more than happy to do that if you'd like to call me directly. I'll give my contact information at the end. If you're looking at doing it, though, from a floor covering standpoint, there are definitely different types of floor covering that do have higher thresholds. You start looking at some of the different porcelain tiles, some of the different hard tiles like that, and even some of the VCT tend to have a little bit higher threshold to them than, say, a solid sheet vinyl or a wood floor. So You know, there's mitigation products for mitigating the moisture or mitigating the amount of moisture that comes out of the slab if it's too wet. But there's also the thought process of looking at different types of finished floor products that are more moisture resistant. So it looks like those are the only questions that I have. Again, my name is Jason Spangler. I'm the flooring division manager here at Wagner Meters. My direct contact information is 800-634-9961, and it's extension 235. Thanks, and have a great day.